be able to play the game from my preparation during the week.
And a couple maybe heavy competitions on the offensive line at a couple spots. How have those kind of played out through camp?
We've had competition in a lot of spots, and not to be vague about that, Joey, but like and that's good. That's a really positive thing, And so I know some of the guys internally have pushed each other and we're, as far as on the offensive line go, and they've rotated guys in there. I think we finally getting closer to settling on what that first series lineup will look like. And, but I feel good about where that group is collectively and the work that they put in. I'm excited to watch them play.
The guys that we know that could be contributors out there in moments in camp, are there more guys we should know at this point that we don't?
Well, I think there's always going to be somebody pop up that maybe we're not as tuned into, especially early in the year. And, when who knows what the way the game might unveil. But I think most of the guys that, we've rotated a lot of guys in, I'll say that, so I don't even know going in the game. I know who, some of the guys are that for sure are going to be locked in and playing, the majority of the snaps. We're going to rotate some guys in there, and all of them had their opportunities. And so that game could unveil a bunch of different ways for a bunch of different skill guys. And the bottom line is we need them all to be at their best on Saturday for us to be our best.
Whoever wins the quarterback job, what are they going to do these offenses to make sure it's successful?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it would be the obvious answer is to do what a quarterback does, operate, communicate with the line and the team, take care of the ball, stay within the framework of the offense, and ultimately make plays, right? And that's ultimately we get an opportunity to make a play or pop a throw or, to make a big play during the course of the game. The play needs to be made, and that's ultimately what the position is about: protect the ball, make the plays that present itself. And it's not just on him to do that; it's all 11. But I'm excited about watching our guys play just collectively, the quarterback position, the running backs. I mean, this is what they work year round for too. And to get your first one of 12 right here before us. And I know our guys are really excited about it. And as their coordinator, I'm really excited to watch them play as well.
Wyoming, I believe they played camp with you for a long time. Did they remind you of anybody that you faced or game plan for last year at UTSA?
That's a good question off the top of my head. I know I've been so locked in on who they are. I don't know if I've really played that game in the back of my mind. Maybe a little bit like Middle Tennessee to some degree that we played in our conference there. They kind of remind, kind of more when I say that, the more I think about that a little bit. Like just they were very systematic in their approach defensively. And I'm not saying other people we play aren't and won't be, but this group in particular, they're very systematic. They've had a system that's worked for them for a long number of years. They're very well coached in it. You know who we're going to be, but on the flip side, you know where they're going to be, so that goes both ways for both teams.
Do you have any just overarching philosophies about how to maybe break up handoffs for some of those guys, especially with a guy like Chase who has so much success?
Not really. I mean, I think, I think that'll kind of come as the game maybe unfolds and maybe the situation in the game and, what you're needing, what kind of runs you're needing to execute. Is it a 4-minute type operation or is it 2-minute? I think that depends on sometimes on who's in there and who's doing what. But ultimately, we want all of our backs, and I believe we're there. We want all of our backs to be able to execute all of our offense, right? And then when that happens, then it doesn't matter as much to me when I'm calling, as long as I have faith and confidence in those guys to execute the entire offense, to let them go play and let it figure out and let that rotation and let that happen kind of organically.
Confident that this offense can have the pace and speed you want it to have as a substitute as many diverse packages as you guys have?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think, again, we've talked about this quite a bit. Like when we say pace or tempo or whatever, I think I made it clear that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to just try to snap it as fast as we can, every snap. And we've got to be able to, change the pace up. That's ultimately our goal for the way we play the game. And so when you change the pace up, it allows for substitutions to happen. And so, yeah, you're going to see that. I mean, we'll probably be in and out of groupings some. And really, to be honest with you, we got to see how the game unfolds in that regard, because it could look like a number of different things. But, so as far as taking time to slow down and get people in and out of the game with our skilled people, that's going to happen. It's going to happen naturally in our flow of offense.
Last time you were on this field, you beat Illinois, now you're back to Berry. What would this mean for you to get this opportunity on Saturday?
Well, I don't really think much about it in those terms at all. That's long behind us, in my mind. And I'm excited about being with this group of coaches and this group of players in this stadium, and putting our best foot forward on Saturday against a good Wyoming team. Yeah, I do. That was a brief one. I surprised you, didn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
what gives you that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just practice, and that's ultimately where you gain confidence from is practice, right? As the coach says a lot, your practice habits become game day realities. And, so what shows up in practice usually shows up in games. And I think those guys have done a nice job for us in that regard in all facets. And so, yeah, do I expect them to show up to some degree? Yeah. But if you watch our, historically here last year in this offense here, they caught some balls, and where I was at, we caught some balls, and as we build our offensive identity here, that'll be important for those guys to be involved in some facet,
That 3-4 weeks practice with him now, like, what's unique about Tommy to be there?
Well, I think that's a good question. Started answering it before I had the answer. I think unique about him. I think what's unique about him and Art and like Ryan Johnson is just their maturity. I mean, like the other day we were kind of talking about just their stories, and like I was kind of blown away by like just all that they had been through in their careers, and not necessarily in a negative way, but just like the experience. I mean, Tommy's older, Art's older, Ryan Johnson's older. We got 3 guys in that room. We have a real strong dichotomy in our room. We have those older guys, and then we have the young pups. And if I'm one of those young guys, like I am absolutely just gravitating towards these older guys because they have been through it. They've seen the best and the worst of this business: injuries, coaching changes, coordinator changes, ups and downs, what the position. So I think that's unique to Tommy, is just his experience. And you can see when he plays, he's played a lot of football and he's comfortable playing. Same for Art. So does that make him altogether unique from anybody else in our room? No, but just in the large scale of things across the college football spectrum, like he's unique in regards to his experiences, right? He's played a lot of football and seen a lot of things, and I think that's really made him into who he is.
Unless you don't need it, you're good, Coach.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
How's everybody doing?
Coach, tell us about Wyoming. What do you know about the Wyoming?
Yeah, their head coach is an old school, fundamental football, hard-nosed guy, and it breeds throughout his team, his roster, his offense. They want to run the football first. Like to get downhill, they'll use bigger personnel groupings, especially on early downs, to try to establish the run game. They do a good job of mixing up zone and gap schemes. They don't put the ball in jeopardy. When they do put it in the air, they're quick, concise reads. Like to get the ball out on the perimeter, with sprint outs and nakeds and get the quarterback out of the pocket a little bit. So they do a good job. Their run game matches up with their play action game. They do a really good job of mixing up personnel groupings and trying to get you to have to match those groupings and be able to get into different pictures out of those different personnels.
The quarterback transfer team, Utah State. What do you see from that team?
Yeah, I've seen Utah State film. He is athletic. He can extend plays with his legs. He's got a quick delivery. It seems like when he knows where to go with the ball, he gets it out on time and he's accurate. And that's sort of what we've seen from the catalog of film we've gotten from Utah State.
How do you starters in your defense, the guys who are older, who played for you before, like Zeke, Kendall,
Mhm.
Gaddis? What are you looking for Saturday when these guys get on the field and kind of take the role?
Just to see what we've been seeing in practice, just the consistency of playing play in and play out, and just doing their job. That first game, there's going to be jitters. Guys have the tendency to go try to find plays instead of letting the game come to them. So that'll be something that we preach to our guys defensively is just let the game come to you as it does. Make the plays you're supposed to make, and just do your job. That's what they've been doing all fall camp. And so I'm looking forward to seeing a clean game. Obviously you worry a little bit about tackling that first week, but we've done a good job in scrimmage situations of getting guys down and playing fast. And so that's what we're looking for from a staff standpoint on what to expect from the players.
Did training camp help you maybe resolve some of those starting positions that you have to fill? I mean, how do you kind of, you're going into the first game where you you're at in that process?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like the core group of guys we got. We're running with the ones and the twos. We've seen improvement from guys that we needed to see improvement from, and guys are playing fast and communicating and executing at a high level. And that's what we're looking for, and that's what we've gotten coming out of fall camp.
Adequately been able to prepare for Wyoming, considering all the personnel changes that they've added in this offseason, maybe more than the way of the country?
Yeah, so you tend to look at more scheme than you do actual production. They've stayed pretty true to their identity over the years, even with some staff turnover. And so that's what we've been looking for is, what are we getting out of certain personnel groupings? What type of plays do they like to run out of certain sets? And they'll plug and play guys, that are new or inexperienced on the roster. But I'd be hard pressed to believe that their identity is going to change a whole lot. And so that's what we've been focusing on.
With the addition of T-Rob or Shot and both back in practice, how do you have to feel with that in that room kind of defensive tackle?
Yeah, we feel good. Coach Jameson's done a great job of mixing those guys in and really developing those new guys and getting them to play with the type of technique and fundamentals that we play with on a consistent basis. I'm glad that those two guys are on our roster, and they've added depth and added some competition and into that room, and that's elevated the level of play in that room. And I'm excited to watch them play this fall.
There's a lot of, promising potential what Keith and Johnny can be doing those spots. Just what do you expect from them? What do you kind of see as what they can achieve?
Yeah, I expect Keith and Johnny just to be Keith and Johnny. We don't need them to be any more or any less. How they play and who they are plenty good enough for what we need them to do defensively. They add experience, they add some competitiveness to that room. Both of them are very athletic, very strong, and they got to win and on the line of scrimmage for us to be successful defensively. And so we're counting on them to shoulder a lot of that weight for us and be stalwarts for us up the middle.
Talking to Kevin and Andy, they talk about your ability to manage people, whether one you were successful last year, I think can be successful. What's your philosophy in managing people as the leader of people?
Just to be myself and to be genuine and be consistent. I think that goes a long way. I'm not afraid to voice my opinion, but I'm also seeking out counsel and advice. I feel like I'm a fairly good listener in that aspect. And I've been blessed to be surrounded with great people, from top to bottom. Coach B has done an awesome job with this staff. We make each other better every day. It's been a joy to go against. I say a joy, but it's been a joy to go against our offense every day. They've challenged us, and we've challenged them. And there's been some healthy back and forth this fall camp, which is what you want to see, as a program. And then the guys in our room, it's very little that I have to manage. There's no egos. There's high football IQ, high character guys. So it's an easy room to manage. But I do think that just being genuine, being authentic, being who you are consistently every day goes a long ways for guys that are trying to follow you.
How many interviews you've done?
Mm-hmm.
A guy like Andy who's got a lot of DC experience. Kevin's got DC experience. On paper, some people might think that could be an issue. Why has that not been an issue for you, or why did you embrace it?
I'm a confident person. I'm not ever looking over my shoulder. I'm confident in my abilities, and that's what's gotten me to this point in my career. And so I looked at it as a bonus to having that kind of experience, that kind of expertise, to try to continue to learn. As a young play caller, it was important for me at that point and juncture in my career to continue to grow, and that was one of the main reasons that I was attracted to this opportunity. And it's been the best career move I've ever made, just because I am getting fed, and I am growing as a defensive play caller and like you said, a manager. And those guys are helpful and pivotal in that aspect.
Titus Swen is your feature back this year, over 800 or almost 800 yards. What kind of back is he? What are some challenges for the defense to slow him down?
Yeah, he's hard to bring down. He does a good job of following the tracks of his offensive linemen. He's a one-cut, get vertical guy. He's got low center of gravity, a wide base. So we're going to have to do a good job of wrapping him up and having a high-level pursuit to the football.
Vegas found maybe the most important change as you transition from 3 weeks of camp to 2 games
The biggest
on a day-to-day basis.
I'd say getting into game week, it's almost like you treat it like a bye because you've had extra time to prepare for Wyoming. And so the focal point on actually game planning, into this next week or starting, a week ago, that definitely changes through fall camp, right? The start of fall camp, you're just installing your defense. You're going through the ins and outs of all the calls, all the checks, and just really focusing on your craft as a unit and also positionally. Then as you get to the season, now it's okay. What are we trying to stop from our opponent? What are the sort of things that we like versus certain personnel groupings and we don't like versus certain personnel groupings, and really diving into more situational football. Like what are you doing in third downs in the red area? How do they operate in 2 minute? You get more game plan specific as you get closer to game week.
Sorry if you've been asked this, but we've heard a lot about players like Matt or maybe even just some guys who maybe it would be like number 2 below on the depth chart that impress the level that they have. Is there a way you go about trying to incorporate them in the game more, even though there are more veteran and experienced players ahead of them?
No, in my mind, you got your starters, and those guys are going to play. Sidney Brown is going to play until Sidney Brown can't play. You know what I mean? And if the game allows or it's needed that Matt goes in there, then in my mind, he's ready to go. So those guys got to prepare like they're starters. But having a set rotation in my room specifically, there is no set rotation. It's the guys that are going to play. And if somebody needs a blow or something happens, then the next guy's got to be ready to go in there.
Adaptation and development at the quarterback spot, so it's really going through preseason camp in your mind as you have in the game.
Yeah, I've been really pleased with Coach Henry's been able to do with that group, and to that group's credit, they've really answered the bell. There's been a lot of healthy competition. Guys like Taz, guys like T. Strain, and then some younger guys that have really stepped up and tried to push the envelope. And so, the experience out of that particular spot might not be there from an in-game standpoint, but they've had a lot of reps throughout the course of spring and fall camp, and they've played good football. And so I'm excited to see those guys get the opportunity to play some meaningful downs and get some quality in-game reps, and hopefully they'll play at a high level.
Anything else for Coach?
Cool. Thanks.